So, guys, the Trump administration is quite possibly the most incompetent regime in American history. And what I'm talking about, you probably know of unless you live under a fucking rock. But our top officials, and when I say top, I mean the literal vice president of the United States, J.D. Vance, and the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Mike Waltz, the fucking national security advisor. Our top officials were discussing war plans with Yemen on a fucking app called Signal, a completely unsecure app, and these dumb fucks, they accidentally added into the group chat the fucking editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, which is like a production agency, like a news source. They fucking added in, what are you eating? My dog is fucking eating her fucking piss pad right now. Jesus Christ. I'm tweaking out, guys. And we have so much to cover right now. And because of this, just so you know, it's illegal. You can't discuss war plans on a fucking unsecure app. We the people, we can do a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request to get this information. That's why you have to be having these conversations, like in secure places with written testimony, like a log of this stuff, so that we, the people, can fucking find out about it. Now we know for a fact the Trump administration is so cocky, so nonchalant, they don't give a fuck about you. Even you, MAGA, even the Trump supporters, they don't give a fuck about you to the point where they are discussing, and they're so incompetent, they're adding in random fucking people. I don't understand how the fuck anybody can support this. I don't ever want to hear some fucking MAGA hat wearing dipshit chud ever bring up national security again. Oh, but what about her emails? What about her emails? Shut the fuck up. Your dumbass leadership is fucking adding in random people to group chats about bombing the Houthis. All right, so first thing that we're going to do is just look at Al Jazeera's coverage of this, okay? Al Jazeera's, I love Al Jazeera. You should check them out if you haven't heard of them. I'm sure you have heard of them because you don't live under a rock. Yemen war plans. What did Trump aides leak to The Atlantic in Signal chat? The Atlantic's editor said Pete Hegseth sent operational details of a U.S. attack on the Houthis in a Signal chat. The editor-in-chief of The Atlantic magazine revealed in an article on Monday that the Trump administration officials disclosed to him crucial military details about airstrikes on Yemen's Houthi rebel targets on March 15th, hours before the United States carried out the attack. So they added in this guy, Jeffrey Goldberg, okay? He's a veteran journalist. This is what he looks like right here. They added in this guy, Jeffrey Goldberg, who is, he's been the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic for a while. During his 9 years at The Atlantic before becoming editor, Goldberg became known for his coverage of foreign affairs. He became moderator of the PBS program Washington Week, right? And we've got, dude, the U.S., look at this, quote, this is from him. The world found out shortly before 2 p.m. Eastern Time on March 15th that the United States was bombing Houthi targets across Yemen. I, however, knew 2 hours before the first bombs exploded that the attack might be coming. The reason I knew this is that Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, had texted me the war plan at 11:44 a.m. Here's what happened. On March 11th, Goldberg received a connection request from someone named Michael Waltz on Signal. If you want to know who Michael Waltz is, here he is. Michael Waltz is the current national security advisor under President Donald Trump. So the guy who's literally in charge of national security is using an unsecure app to fucking text about war plans, and he's adding in random fucking people. I bet you Mike Waltz takes the fall for this, even though it was Pete Hegseth who added him in. Goldberg wrote that he did not initially think this was the actual Waltz trying to connect with him. He thought it could be someone pretending to be Waltz who would attempt to get information out of Goldberg. But the editor added that he met Waltz in the past. Quote, I didn't find it particularly strange that he might be reaching out to me. I did think it somewhat unusual, considering the contentious relationship Trump's administration has with journalists, Goldberg wrote. So, The video I made the other day talking about the U.S. carpet bombing Yemen and increasing tensions with the Houthis, and the Houthis respond and they're like, oh, we're going to attack more U.S. ships. Do you understand how lucky we are that they accidentally leaked it to Jeffrey Goldberg and not some fucking foreign government official that is also probably within the contact lists? If I'm a foreign government, by the way, I spoke to a member of the Mexican government earlier and about this, and he was saying that every government that considers themselves an ally of the United States is now scrubbing through all of their like chats with American officials because they're concerned that they're being leaked or spied on by the Chinese or the Russians or the North Koreans, because this fucking app isn't secure. Okay? Here, let me just show you a little bit about this app here. Here's what to know about Signal, the messaging app used in apparent leak of war plans to a journalist. A magazine journalist's account of being added to a group chat of U.S. national security. Fuck it. What is Signal? It's an app that can be used for direct messaging and group chats as well as phone and video calls. Signal uses end-to-end encryption for its messaging and calling services that prevents any third party from viewing conversation content or listening in on calls. In other words, messages and calls sent on Signal are scrambled, and only the sender and recipient at each end will have a key to decipher them. So apparently we can't see these messages. Oh, wait a minute. There they are! Oh my God, these stupid motherfuckers are in charge of me. They're in charge of you. They're in charge of your children. They're in charge of every single one of us. These are the people in charge. Look at this. This is the National Security Advisor in regards to carpet bombing Yemen. We're cooked. We're cooked. We're fucking cooked. If this is the guy in charge of national security? This is the man in charge of national security? Holy ever-loving fuck. Feel free to pause. I'll put this up for you. Feel free to pause so you could read the entire thing. I mean, oh my God. So let's keep reading. Is it secure? Signal touts the privacy it's at service, and experts agree it's more secure than conventional texting, but it could be hacked. Government officials have used Signal for organizational correspondence, such as scheduling sensitive meetings, but the Biden administration, people who had permission to download it on their White House-issued phones were instructed to use the app sparingly, according to a former national security official who serves in the administration. It can be hacked, but we also know that the Trump administration doesn't give a fuck about anything, right? They already use Starlink over the White House, which could also be hacked. They don't give a shit about this type of stuff. I mean, we already know the Trump regime, it ended all U.S. prevention of Russian cyber attacks. That's why you see so many more Russian bots on TikTok and all that fucking dumb shit. Are we getting skipped frames? Yeah, we're getting some high CPU usage and skipped frames. You're going to have to forgive me for that. All right. Let's watch a little bit of these fucking people being questioned. All right? Because this is pretty much, I know the story leaked yesterday, but pretty much overnight, the fucking Senate got together and was like, all right, no, we're fucking grilling you.
We've been talking about. Was there any mention of a target in Yemen?
I don't remember mention of specific targets.
Pause. I believe, yep. The material in the text chain, quote, contained operational details of forthcoming strikes on Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen, including information about targets. All right, so let's watch her response one more time. What was that you said?
There any mention of a target in Yemen?
Come on.
I don't remember mention of specific targets.
Any generic target?
I believe there was discussion around targets in general.
Mr. Ratcliffe.
I think that's consistent with my recollection. Again, I don't have access to that. But
Was there
dumb fuck was
any
on it
mention,
too.
Ms. Gabbard, of a weapon or weapons system?
I don't recall specific weapons systems being named.
I'm not talking about specific, any weapon or weapons system.
I don't recall specific names of systems or weapons being used or named within the
Well, I'm
chat.
not asking whether, I don't want you to tell me what the specific weapon was, but any weapon at all. Mr. Ratcliffe, same question.
I don't recall.
How about anything about timing?
I don't recall. Is these fucking lying snakes? It's their favorite sentence. I don't recall.
Ms. Gabbard.
I don't recall specific timing.
Was there any
I
mention?
won't get into the detail of the conversation, but obviously there was a significant amount of planning and internal discussions that had occurred prior to and outside of this Signal chat.
Mr. Ratcliffe, you're nodding your head. Any mention of any military unit whatsoever? Mr. Ratcliffe.
Not that I recall.
Ms. Gabbard.
Not that I recall.
Okay.
Why can't these people say no? Not that I recall is covering your own ass. Not that I recall is saying I don't remember. That way when you find out, I can say that I said I don't remember. Not that it didn't happen, and then you can accuse me of perjury, which Pete Hegseth already committed. You guys want to see Pete Hegseth commit perjury?
Talking about a deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a
Let's talk about
profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
I'm going to be responsible here and not disclose the things that I read. And so
I will say he should disclose what he read. He should tell the entire honestly, go fuck yourself, dude. You should tell us. You should just publish the entire text chain.
I will describe them to you. The specific time of a future attack, specific targets, including human targets, meant to be killed in that attack, weapon systems, even weather reports, or, that the government is I don't know why Hegseth was sharing it with everybody. I mean, the precise detail, and then a long section on sequencing. This is going to happen, then that is going to happen. After that happens, this happens, then that happens, and then we go and find out if it worked. I mean, he can say that it wasn't a war plan, but it was a minute by minute accounting of what was about to happen, organized by CENTCOM, Central.
Hey, real quick, I just got to say it again. Hey, MAGA, defend this. I know you will. You're in a cult. You'll probably say it just didn't happen and it's fake news, but I really just like rubbing your face in this shit, dumbass.
Central Command, which is the military oversight group of the Middle East, the broader Middle East. This is their plan, and he was taking their plan and sharing it with a bunch of civilian leaders. It's interesting because as I'm reading it at 11:44 a.m. on Saturday morning, the 15th, seeing that the Houthis are not going to know about this for another couple hours.
And you know about it.
Well, and I know about it, and I'm thinking to myself, honestly, I'm thinking to myself.
This is why I said we are so lucky that they only added this guy. This guy, let's just say he had some sort of family in Yemen, right? He was a completely different person. Then he probably would have called his family and told them, and then maybe they would call the police, or I don't know. I have no idea, but I never want to hear one of you red hat wearing dipshit inbred motherfuckers bring up national security ever again.
I said, well, I'm glad that Mike Waltz didn't invite a Houthi into the group,
Exactly.
or a Russian spy, or an adversary of the United States. But put that aside. I'm reading this and I'm wondering, not only why am I reading this, but why would the Secretary of the Treasury need to know the precise attack sequence?
Why is the Secretary of the Treasury? on the need-to-know list about our fucking war plans.
This upcoming operation. Again, I don't want to talk about weapon systems, packages, targets in any specificity because, you know, I'm trying to be, I want to be a responsible person, and I'm more interested in the decision making anyway than I am in the actual technical details of it. But the whole thing is just very flummoxing to me because I haven't seen this kind of unserious behavior before. And, you know, and the Secretary of Defense, all due respect, in that presentation seems like a person who's unserious and is trying to deflect from the fact that he participated in a conversation on an unclassified commercial messaging app that he probably shouldn't have participated in.
You're talking about a...
Oh, let's close some of these apps, see if we can save some CPU usage. So let's keep watching a little bit of Tulsi Gabbard and all these fucking dipshits get questioned.
So I understand that DOD policy prohibits discussion of even what is called controlled unclassified information, or CUI, on unsecured devices. Are both of you aware of that DOD policy?
I haven't read that policy.
Not familiar with the DOD policy, but I would say that the Secretary of Defense is the original classification authority for DOD in deciding what would be classified information.
Ms. Gabbard, does the intelligence community have a policy that prohibits discussion of controlled unclassified information?
Yes.
It does. Okay. Controlled unclassified information, according to DOD, includes information that is information that has not been approved for public release. Would you, of what's been disclosed publicly of the signal chain, would either of you feel that that would be approved for public release? Ms. Gabbard.
The discussion that took place in that Signal chat group was a conversation reflecting national security leaders and the vice president around the president's objectives.
So yes or no, would you approve that for public release?
I fucking hate Tulsi Gabbard. I absolutely hate this fucking bitch. What is with that white strand of hair? Is it like you're trying to establish, let me turn up my volume, you're trying to establish some sort of like fucking reputation as like the white-haired lady?
I don't feel I can answer that question here.
Because of the nature of this hearing?
Because of the nature of a private discussion that took place between individual leaders in our government.
It would make sense that you would not approve it for public release, wouldn't it?
There are other factors that would go into that consideration.
Mr. Ratcliffe, yes or no?
I wouldn't approve the release of classified information. Again, as I've said,
I'm not talking about classified information, Mr. Ratcliffe. I'm talking about information that has not been approved for public release. That is information that is considered controlled, unclassified information.
The principles that would have been on that would have been individuals capable of approving that for public release.
Do you, I got 20 seconds.
What the fuck does that even mean?
The deliberation as to whether or not we should launch a strike on another country, would you consider that classified information, Ms. Gabbard?
Well, the information was not classified.
I'm not talking about this. I'm just talking about deliberation from principles as to whether or not we should launch a strike on another country. Would you consider that classified information? I'm not talking about what happened this week.
There are other factors that would go into determining that classification.
Great non-answer, Tulsi. These fucking people love to give non-answers. Now, the last and final thing I want to show you, I think, is the fucking cherry on top. It's the fact that Donald Trump didn't know diddly shit about this. Check this out.
Especially your reaction to the story in The Atlantic that said that some of your top cabinet officials and aides had been discussing very sensitive material through Signal and included an Atlantic reporter for that. What is your response to that?
I don't know anything about it. I'm not a big fan of the Atlantic. To me, it's a magazine that's going out of business. I think it's not much of a magazine, but I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal to coordinate on sensitive materials and
Having to do with what? Having to do with what? What were they talking about?
with the Houthis.
The Houthis? You mean the attack on the Houthis? Well, it couldn't have been very effective because the attack was very effective. I can tell you that.
Oh my
I don't know
God.
anything about it.
Oh my God, this stupid motherfucker doesn't eat. Guys, this is why I said in the beginning of this video, the Trump regime is the most incompetent regime in American history. He doesn't know what the fuck is going on. His own people don't know what the fuck is going on. They're using unsecure. I swear to God, I think the Russians and the Chinese know everything about every decision that we're making because these stupid motherfuckers don't care. They don't know. They're too stupid to even think about it. It's like a boomer who doesn't understand that his phone can be hacked. Oh my God. Listen, that's all I got for you today. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you want to buy some merch to help out the channel, don't forget I have zero funding. I've never had a conversation with an advertiser, a billionaire, or foreign government. And I need money, man. I need we're in the negative, all right? You want to help me out? Buy some merch. Use the 40% off discount for Ground News and become a member for $5 to get early access to these videos. I'm sorry that we had some skipped frame rates. I'm sorry that we had some high CPU usage. I'm getting a new computer, hopefully. Again, this is why you need to help donate to the channel. I'm getting a new computer, and we're going to try to fix these problems as fast as possible, guys. But regardless, I really do appreciate every single one of you, especially all of you members. You guys have helped me more than you could possibly ever know. So, yeah, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Valenti Vod. I'll catch you on the next one.